Small business owners were more optimistic about economic trends in October, but uncertainty jumped, hitting its highest reading on record according to the NFIB. Questions around the election causing a lot of the uncertainty around the future. With President-elect Donald Trump heading back to the White House in January, what does this mean for small businesses? Joining me now is Holly Wade. She is the NFIB Executive Director of Research. Holly, great to have you back on. And now we get to have this discussion post-election. What are your biggest anticipations in how small businesses' outlooks may shift as a result of having clarity about what January will look like and what potentially the policies for the next 4 years could also net out to be?
Certainly. So great to see you again. And for small business owners, the uncertainty index, as you just showed, reached an all-time high in our 50-year survey. And that will largely be alleviated in terms of what they can expect moving forward with post-election sentiment and that relief of, especially with those tax cuts that they're looking to have extended or ideally made permanent that are set to expire in 2025, especially the 20% deduction on small business qualifying income. So those provisions, there's a lot more certainty around what they're likely to expect going forward. And so we'll see that moderate quite a bit. The index did improve 2 points. That was a great sign for small business owners, especially with the outlook on economic conditions. That's the question within the index that improved the most.
And so with that in mind, what are the kind of top topics, if you will, that you're hearing from small businesses that they're identifying and that they're trying to really either get ahead of as there's another seat change within the White House and how they're planning as well?
Certainly. So looking towards, again, those tax provisions that they're looking to have made permanent that specifically benefit the majority of small business owners. Again, the corporate tax rate, that certainly impacts a lot of small business owners, and the regulatory environment in which they're operating. And they're looking for that to be less aggressive in the kind of the compliance aspect of a lot of the regulations that they've had to manage and work through and comply with, but also just the threat of not knowing what might be coming down the road for them as far as the regulatory environment on a federal level. That will largely be, a much more supportive environment in the new administration. Those are some of the areas where small business owners were particularly looking for as far as election results this last week. And we'll see that reflected in subsequent surveys. But even the run up to the election in October, we did see a bit more support or a bit more optimism among our owners that we surveyed in economic conditions moving forward.
Holly, I wonder how small businesses that you're surveying are thinking about employment and specifically as it relates to immigration as well, because that's something that's been talked about by the now incoming administration and the risk of potential mass deportations as well. What are you hearing from small businesses?
Sure. So it's still a very tight labor market for many small business owners, specifically in a few industries, including construction and transportation. Those two in our survey show the largest percentage of our members saying that they have an open position that they aren't currently able to fill. And so many of them are still struggling to hire, to retain current employees. There's compensation pressures. Many of them have, reported that they have increased compensation over the last 3 months, are planning to increase compensation. That's eased a bit off of their very high levels a year, 2 years ago, but it's still an issue in how they're trying to compete for talent. So we'll see what it looks like as far as immigration policy going forward. But, as I mentioned, they're still in this environment of a tight labor supply, and especially for those industries in construction and transportation that we've seen from small business owners.
All right. Holly Wade, NFIB Research Center Executive Director, thanks so much for taking the time here with us.
Thank you.